Yes, sir.
Okay. So, thank you, Arafat. So, Dr. Amit, we are live now. And so, good evening to all colleagues, students present here, and good afternoon to Dr. Amit Singla, Dr. Amit, and I think Atul sir is still in India. So, good evening to Atul sir and all the senior dignitaries from LPU. Today, we are celebrating NASA Day at LPU. Uh, no need of introduction to Dr. Amit about NASA, and I'm sure that you must be cherishing your good time of NASA days when you were studying architecture in India. As you all know, NASA is the world largest association of student of architecture from India and South Asia. Today we have our Honorable Dr. Sanjay Modi, Pro Vice Chancellor of Lovely Professional University, Dr. Atul Singla, Chief Architect of LPU and Executive Dean of Lovely School of Architecture and Design. We have Professor Tara Singla, HOD and Senior Professor of Lovely School of Architecture and Design, and faculties of School of Architecture from Lovely Professional University and some other schools also, and students from LPU and many other schools of architecture of India, along with the council member of NASA India. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Atul Singla to give a welcome address to Dr. Amit and also to invite our NASA colleagues. Over to you, Dr. Atul Singla.
Thank you, Rajinder. Um, First of all, the occasion that we are here for, the NASA Day. A few words about NASA. I think NASA is a great organization, and I think it's one of the best student organizations that I've come across world over. And the testimonial to that fact is the event that was organized by NASA at LPU, where 200 plus colleges from all over India came and more than 4,000 students. And it was a resounding success. You know, the success of the event was amazing. The enthusiasm of the students, the way they conducted the events, that is amazing. That's infectious and really something that, as professional architects, even we would like to, encourage to see the skills and the way NASA conducts itself. So on NASA Day, really congratulate the NASA fraternity, students, the members, that it's they've put together uh, this wonderful organization. And at LPU for the last week, the various workshops that have been conducted in conjunction with these and the faculty members, really commendable. I think we'll be looking at some of that work today. So congratulations again on NASA Day. I really want to welcome Dr. Amit Srivastava, Madam Maria, and Mr. Gregorius, who are today with us as special speakers on this great event. So your presence on this event will really inspire the students and, take this celebration of NASA Day to a different level. Really thank you for coming over today and joining this event. I also want to welcome our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sanjay Modi, whose presence in any event and, his continued support, and the way he inspires us, all the design schools, architecture schools, to, take this university higher is really something we look forward to always. Thank you, sir, for always being there for us. Also want to welcome all the faculty members and our dear students from LPU and from all the other colleges, and the management and the student members of NASA as well. I hope this event will be a great success. And again, congratulations on NASA Day. I think next, Chunesh, the secretary, I can see Madam Maria and has joined. Welcome. Welcome, Madam Maria.
Hello.
Really great to have you with us today on NASA Day. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And so Chinesh, I think, the secretary for NASA, he will be showcasing the events and the workshops that were conducted at LPU. So over to Chinesh.
Thank you, Atul
So
sir.
much, sir.
And that was
Thank
so
you.
Chunesh, before you go, I would also like to introduce our two architect friends from Indonesia. So Dr. Amit, actually, they will be presenting it after your lecture. So that session, Professor Tara will take over. But Atul sir, I'm so sorry, I forgot to mention your brief CV. Because
That's
so.
that's really not. This is really about the students today, and it doesn't really matter. Thank you so
But
much.
sir, you have been really very source of inspiration. Dr. Atul has completed his Bachelor of Architecture, though we have discussed his profile, but before we went live. So Dr. Atul Singla is a graduate from SPA Delhi and PhD also from SPA Delhi, and he has also worked and he studied and worked in London, and he studied in prestigious A School of Architecture, and he has a quite range of experience of working in India and also in London. So now I'll go to our NASA colleague, Doctor. Sorry, I'm missing your name, NASA.
That's Chinesh.
Chunesh. So over to you, Chunesh.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Good evening, everyone. Myself, Chinesh City. I'm third year bachelor's of architecture student, Lovely School of Architecture and Design. I would like to welcome each and every guest and respected Dean sir and Tara ma'am and Rajendra sir. And I would like to present the PPT to showcase NASA portfolio of NASA India. I hope everyone can see the screen. Can anyone confirm the screen is visible?
Yes,
Yes,
Chunesh,
Chunesh.
it is visible.
Okay. Sir, I would like to present NASA India, National Association of Students of Architecture. And the NASA India motto is for the students, by the students, and of the students. And it is handled by students, and it's a whole student community of whole India architecture students only. And NASA, the goal and objectives of NASA is the organization aims to bridge the gap between the students and professionals of the fraternity, those affected by their outcomes. The main vision and mission of NASA India is being the voice for the students and providing a platform for the students and bridging the gap between the professional and academic path and sustaining within the students and making a difference for students and taking a part of growth of students of architecture in India. The whole NASA is divided into 6 zones. As you can see, Punjab, Lovely School of Architecture and Design comes in the zone 1. And I would like to say we have posted the 65th ANC. Before that, I would like to share the history of NASA. NASA started in the year of 1957, as you can see, and 7 colleges started the genesis of an association. These are the pictures of the history, and we have certain industry collaborations with us, and we have various design competitions across the whole globe. It goes around while representing the Indian architecture. The importance of NASA Day lies in its ability to bring together students from diverse backgrounds, fostering a sense of unity and collaboration. It is a platform where we share our ideas and learn from each other and grow both personally and professionally. This day reminds us the power of collective effort and the impact.
Chunesh, I just want to interrupt. I'm so sorry. I don't know if everyone can see there is a
Yes, I
problem
presume
on
there
the
is,
screen.
and yes, there is a problem on the screen. There is a left black patch coming on the screen.
And
So
also on the top.
yes, and also on the top. So I don't know, Tunesh, whether you are able to see it or not. If you
I
can
guess it's the Zoom platform. Is it okay right now?
okay.
Now,
It's still
Yeah,
there, actually. It's gone
but that
towards
box
the
has
right.
gone to right, but still the problem is there.
Sir, it's like a Zoom platform where I can't undo this. Let me minimize it.
If you can reload your presentation once more and share the entire screen, maybe you will be able to get rid of the box. Janesh? Janesh, can you reload? Yes. Now one box is gone, but there is still another box.
Like it's a Zoom platform only.
Okay.
Like if I share the screen, it is shown
Oh,
only.
if you share the entire screen, maybe then it won't show.
No, I actually shared my whole screen.
Okay. Keep going then. Never mind. Yes.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, now it's better, manageable.
Okay, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir, in 2023 June, we have hosted NASA India annual NASA convention here in LPU itself. I would like to show you a small movie of that. This is where all 4,500 students all over from India came and participated in annual NASA convention. Here I would like to emphasize the point this is a whole student-led organization and we have hosted the event very successfully in the NASA India history. LPU made an impact in the architecture student convention in the year of 65th of NASA India. There are various workshops where students have attended and we have many programs where to make the students more collaborative between students and different zones and all parts of India. And we have international guests all over the globe, people from Spain, Italy, everywhere, traveled all the way to LPU to share their knowledge to the students. These are the student reviews from the convention. This year, we had the privilege of conducting two international workshops, which have added immense value to our NASA Day celebrations. We were honored to meet with St. Petersburg, Russia, who taught us about the computational workflow, along with the qubit diffusion algorithms, bringing a unique perspective and expertise to our session. Additionally, we had another live workshop in Lovely School of Architecture and Design by Portuguese tutors where we design a lamp, where we explore innovative lamp design and enriching our understanding of global architectural practices. These workshops have not only broadened our horizons, but also emphasized the importance of cultural exchange in the field of architecture. They have shown us that architecture is a universal language that transcends the border and connects us all. As we continue to celebrate NASA Day, let us remind the significance of NASA India Association and the opportunity it provides. Let us strive to make the most of this opportunity.
Uh, so Suresh, your screen was freeze for some time. Suresh, can you hear us?
I think we've lost him. Not in this one.
Yeah.
Dinesh?
Hello everyone. I have something to show you all.
Yes.
Here we have few works that we have been doing for the past 2 days on on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week in the name of the NASA Day celebration, and we wanted to have a highlight of NASA Day. And here is an overview that we have been working with Mr. Stephen from Russia, and he is the architect and the researcher at SA Lab, Russia, and he has taught us diffusions. And we have worked with the AI, the control net, and other aspects of Grasshopper and Rhino to come up with such activities. This was actually conducted as an academic part of a thing and with the industrial approach as well. So we had a number of students participating in this active um, workshop, and here's the result that we have adapted to.
I must say these 2 days have been very informative and very crucial for the children who participated in the workshop, primarily the second year and the third year. As Arafat mentioned, that they have been experimenting with Grasshopper, even generative AI to a lot of extent. You can see the beautiful models that they have created within a time limit of only 3 hours. So I think this time NASA has been all about learning and experimenting. And of course, we've not left artificial intelligence behind, teaching our children how to, not be afraid of AI, but use it as to their maximum advantage. It has been a wonderful 2 days workshop with Lightbox and, of course, this happening online. So I think if we've done showing the videos, we can continue further with our session.
Yes, ma'am.
Professor
Sure.
Rajinder. Rajinder, sir?
Yeah, thank you so
Yes.
much, Tara ma'am, and it was really great session, and I saw the student work, and it was really very difficult to believe that such kind of innovative design was produced in just um, you know few hours. I mean, these some of the design remind me of Habitat 67 design. I believe Dr. Amit, you may agree with me. Habitat 67 of Moshe Sabdi work. Some of the design were really, I mean, very, very good, and kudos to all the LPU faculty team and all the student also. So with the permission of Dr. Atul, can I go ahead for the introduction of Dr. Amit?
Yes, please. Please go ahead,
Okay.
Rajinder.
So thank you so much, students, and it was really very engaging. And I believe that uh, although the video which you showed it for the NASA event, I mean, that was very good, but there was a sound missing. So it would have been great if we could have some sound with the energy. So now we are going to enter in the main session of Dr. Amit Srivastava. He's a dear friend, and I had been knowing him for a couple of time, and you know, though he's based in Australia, but today he's signing in from Brussels. Yeah, from Belgium, Brussels. And we were unable to meet last time, sir, when you were here. I think a month back when you were here, we couldn't catch up. But before I would like to request Dr. Srivastava for his presentation, I would like to read a brief bio about him. Dr. Amit is a director of India for the Center of Asian and Middle Eastern Practice, known as CAMEA, based in University of Adelaide, Australia. Having trained and practiced as an architect in India, Srivastava's primary work focused on the architecture and construction theories of colonial and post-colonial India. His other current researches focus on theme of transnational exchange of materials, skills, construction process across the Indian Ocean world, from Africa, Middle East to South Asia and Australia. With special interest in cases of South Asia cooperation, he's also working on a project looking at Australian architects in Asia and its impact on a material culture in Australia. And I think we had a discussion before also about his work of exhibition in MoMA, and I think Dr. Amit is one of the few architects who have, I mean, who are curator of one of the few Indian architects who are curator of exhibition at such a prestigious MoMA, New York. And I'm sure that maybe next time when Dr. Atul will do, when Dr. Amit will do such kind of exhibition again. So, sir, we would also like to be involved in your initiative. I mean, as we have discussed in the past, it will be really very good that if we can be associated with you in any way, academically, research, or any of your initiative. So over to Dr. Amit.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction and also for having me. And I'm really thankful to Director Rajendra Kumar for inviting me, and also Dr. Atul Singla for initiating the session today. And it's an absolute pleasure to be able to talk to students as part of NASA. And as Rajendra mentioned, I was a student of architecture in India now many years ago. But yes, of course, NASA was a great part of our annual experience of being an architecture student. And it has come a long way. I think when we were we were studying in the 90s, there were less than, if I want to say less than 100, much less than 100 schools in India. And it was a good opportunity for us from all over India to get together and meet with each other and share the things that we were learning. This was, mind you, before the days of the internet, where now everything just sort of travels so quickly. And NASA was an opportunity really for us to expand our understanding of what was happening around the country. And we got students from all over the country coming in. And it was a real important place of exchange. I think, yes, in today's sort of world of the internet, we kind of get access to a lot of information. But as I'm seeing with the work that you guys are doing in workshops, again, it's an opportunity to push the boundaries of what we already know in our day-to-day classrooms. And it's an opportunity to learn about what people are doing around the world. So, again, kudos to all the people who are organizing this. And it's really a delight to have an opportunity to speak to the students. I think I know, well, this is not really a lecture of sorts. It's not intended to be as such. So I'm going to keep it light. I think I've got about half an hour to talk. I'm going to keep it light. But it's an opportunity for me to share also what we do, share something that could be inspiring, hopefully, for some of you who might want to be considering potential career paths in architecture and thinking where you can go. It's also an opportunity to share my own sort of interests and journey, and also, share interesting things that architects can do, once we get out of the university context and decide the direction we want to take. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. For those of you who would have seen the sort of social media or whatever post that was produced for this presentation, you would have seen I have this weird world that I live in, where I kind of work in the context of history in South Asia, and I'm going to talk about that, particularly the MoMA exhibition that was mentioned. But I also work in this fascinating new area of lunar architecture, and I think students who are part of this presentation for NASA would be very, very interested. I'm hoping to learn about, the places where architecture is going and the interesting things that all of us are doing. So it's an interesting narrative. It's a narrative of a research journey, but also a lot of times students ask me, how do you enter a kind of discipline like this? So I'm also going to try and share a bit of that story. And it kind of begins with my sort of obsession with brick as a material. And I remember, of course, in NASA, you used to have the the Louis Kahn Trophy, which used to be I assume it still exists and still works, and used to be about documentation. And those were the days in sort of a pre-CAD era. And I think now we're sort of seeing AI and other ways of doing things. So in those days, we used to talk about Louis Kahn and the brick quite a bit, and it'll come back into the story that I'm going to sort of share today. So on that map, you can sort of see we're sitting in Australia, south of Australia, and Adelaide is where I'm based, writing a lot about that relationship of that part of the world, particularly in India, Southeast Asia, even eastern part of Africa, what we call the Indian Ocean Rim. And then in this weird relationship, we also talk about, otherworldly architecture, or what we call off-Earth architecture. So let me go back to the sort of initial, So, oops. So the first aspect of the presentation today, really, which I want to talk about, is the work that we've done in India. Hopefully, I'm really hoping many of you students have come across my book, which I wrote with Peter Scriver, now almost 8 odd years ago, which is looking at the long history of modern architecture in India, going all the way back to the sort of British colonial period in the 1900s, all the way till the year 2000. And the culmination of that really was the exhibition in 2022 that happened at MoMA in New York, called the Project of Independence, Architectures of Decolonization in South Asia. And I should clarify, of course, it is about South Asia, so we were not the only people involved. We were involved, of course, in terms of helping tell the narrative of India, but there were other colleagues who were involved who were looking at Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and Pakistan, and it was trying to bring together the work that a lot of us have done as academics over the year to bring a much richer narrative of things that have been happening in India. So again, I'm not going to sit here and talk about what's in the book or the exhibition, but I just wanted to sort of share what our starting point was and how we moved into looking at aspects that were represented in the exhibition. The other part I do want to sort of briefly talk about is the work I now do, which is part of my group with the Lunar Architecture Research Center and the new research we're doing on human uses of outer space, and particularly the role of architects as space architects. So I think when I was a student in India, there was a lot of discussion around the role of modern architecture, and again, the terms we used to use at the time was, nation building, the idea of modern architecture and nation building. And I'm sure in your history classes, you've come across a lot of these sort of ideas around post-colonial identity, challenges of sort of migration, particularly, which resulted from the partition and things like that, the housing crisis, and the burgeoning new cities. And again, as decades pass by, Indian cities tend to grow rapidly. I joke quite with my colleagues in Australia. I joke quite often that the entire population of Australia is less than the population of the city of Delhi, and it's a completely different world thinking about architecture and urbanism in India. And so these things, again, I'm talking now as a student 20, 30 years ago, they were still in a completely different place than they are today. But at that time, we used to hear a lot about the influence from the West, in particular European and American architects. And the impact of that was very palpable in the narrative of the 80s and 90s. And at that time, what you would get is this sort of direct kind of influence that we would talk about. And this is, of course, the Secretariat building by Le Corbusier in Chandigarh, and you can see the architectural styles and modern architecture and the implication in meant for a newly formed country like India. And we used to talk about, of course, architects who then learned from these modern masters to then build fantastic buildings of their own right, but very much in the light of that learning. So, of course, this is the work of Shivnath Prasad at Sri Ram Center and the Akbar Hotel. We've got these notions of how this kind of modern architecture, which we were defining very stylistically, had entered into the Indian vocabulary through people like Corbusier and Kahn and others. But in our work, what we started, or we were very interested in, was to sort of say, well, not to look at the ruptures or the newness of modern architecture, but to look at the continuities. And so we were very much interested in saying, how can we complicate this idea that somehow something new is happening and recognize that what continues, where is the continuing notions and challenges of what the history of architecture in India looks like. So we were looking for cultural and social practices, and then we're saying, well, of course, yes, we want to talk about post-colonial identity, but how then do we find what is Indianness? Or if we are going to talk about migration, how do we figure out where do we belong? And of course, yes, density is about numbers and things, but it's also about, how we congregate people in a world that is, absolutely divided in class and caste. And of course, you might say today that caste is not as strong an issue, but class, of course, is, and the sort of monetary disparity is increasing every day. So we were very much interested at that time to then sort of look at architecture from these perspectives and saying, yes, how is Reval's Khelgaon still somehow connected to the way we think about living in a place like India by looking at older formats of urbanization with Jaisalmer as a city, and then saying what are the aspects of modern architecture that are modern yet somehow deeply rooted in the place that they are from. And once you start opening up this kind of questioning, you start looking at the same people who we have often looked through the lens of Corbusier and Kahn, and we start realizing that deep within that there are also these very vernacular thought processes that are embedded. So the drawing on the left, of course, is the Sangat, is a drawing of Doshi's Sangat, but it's drawn in this sort of aperspectival style, which kind of mimics previous traditional forms of representation that were in India. And we started looking at how these architects were dealing with its dual reality of what it meant to be in the place we were, but also being modern at the same time. Of course, the larger image on the right, many of you will recognize, is ISKCON temple by Achyut Kanvinde. And then, so these are, fascinating examples of where modernity isn't like a stylistic representation, yet a theoretical idea that underlies what might seem very traditional in many ways. And this obsession with continuities kind of way is what defined our work. And we're very much interested not just to sort of find what is new and different. And I think this is an important thing I talk to students about all the time, is to sort of see where the cultural continuities are, to understand what makes us human and makes us part of a larger, longer narrative of who we are. And that's really where the exhibition comes through. But one of the things that we found most valuable in this kind of thinking about the world is to look not at the fanciful architecture that flashy architects make to stand out, but the architecture that defines the background of what we do and how we live every day. So it was a way to start looking at infrastructure as part of architectural discourse. It's so easy to get distracted by a few fancy buildings that are designed by the Gairys and the Zaha Hadids and the Norman Fosters of the world, that we forget that there is the thousands and millions of buildings that are designed every day, which make our world tick in a certain way. So we started looking at, all right, how do we talk about architecture in India in these terms? And the exhibition in MoMA, for instance, the book, of course, the exhibition is well and truly over. It was in 22, although we're hoping there'll be more of that in the future and we'll be able to do things in India. But if you look at the book that came out with that exhibition, this was an opportunity for us to start talking about these continuities by looking at this infrastructural component of architecture. But I think for me, most importantly, the stuff that relates to the work that we continue to do, and I want to sort of talk about it to you as students today, is how architecture can be broken down and understood through its construction and its practices, not as a technical practice of construction, but as a social practice of construction. So again, let's take up this example because this was a center or core of my work, which was the Indian Institute of Management that was designed by Louis Kahn in the 1960s and 70s. And I was quite obsessed with understanding this building, not from the perspective of the spatial planning or the aspects of Louis Kahn's work in that sense, but with that weird relationship that Louis Kahn apparently had with the brick. And this was my obsession as a sort of, postgraduate student going into a PhD, to try and unravel that weird dialogue that we've all kind of heard about, where Louis Kahn talks to the brick and asks what it wants to be, and the brick says, "I want to be an arch," right? And what does that actually mean? Is this just a metaphor for what architects want to do with the brick, and they're just applying some kind of narrative on it? Or is this really a way to understand architecture and construction? And luckily in my work, and again, I'm trying to summarize a lot of stuff here, but I'm hoping for some students here, this will ring a bell and you might be able to, follow through on it. I got really interested in the anthropological approach to understanding what the process of making is. How do we as human beings engage with the world around us in the process of making? And anthropologists deal with it all the time in vernacular settings. In modern architectural sense, we tend to over-glorify the work that the architect is doing, but anthropologists deal with this, correspondence, as they call it, which was this relationship between materials and objects. So in our work, we've gotten quite interested in this, and what that has led to is then not looking at the building as a whole after it's finished and the way it's kind of photographed and beautifully presented on online forums and in magazines and the things that students often look at, but actually looking at the building at the time of its construction, at the time of its conception, and trying to understand how each of those moments of decision making shape the building as it goes along, and how does that real dialogue on the site actually happen. And so this was a thing that was captured in the work that I ended up doing, and this was my publication called Encountering Materials in Architectural Production, which was an obsessive look at materiality as a way to understand architectural decisions, rather than thinking of architectural form as something that's applied onto the material. And for a long time, this remained what you would call an academic obsession. And yes, this was a publication, a thesis, which as a PhD student meant that I spent a lot of time at the Kahn archives in Pennsylvania, but also working with a lot of brick makers and bricklayers in Ahmedabad and trying to understand what that relationship actually meant. And I have an extensive collection now of different bricks from different parts of the world, just because I obsessed about it and wanted to understand what it meant for people to think about brick architecture. So what this opened up, and I think really this is where I want to leave this trajectory, is it opened up a way of thinking about the history of architecture, not in what we now used to call at least architecture history, but as what we now end up calling construction history. And I think as architecture students, it's something very valuable to understand that architecture is an outcome of a whole lot more than just what you end up drawing on the paper. The decisions that you make in terms of the design, what wonderful things you can now make with AI on the screen, it all eventually is connected to a complex network of other people and other ideas that eventually transform that into a building. And this has a very sort of literal sense. Of course, I'm sure you've got teachers that talk to you about structures and materials in a very technical sense, but also understanding materiality from the perspective of what these materials mean, where they come from, and who are, like, whether it's construction companies, whether it's policies, whether it's governments, things that define what this means in terms of the environment that you're producing things. And that tends to have a wonderful relationship with the architectural design. So as students, I think it's important to kind of go, well, if I go back to somebody like Corbusier or Kahn, which is so easy to look at their final product, then you'll realize that the main contribution of somebody like Corbusier or Kahn is not just in that final building, but is in imagining the process by which those buildings were created. So hopefully in your history courses, you've also come across the idea where Corbusier produces something like the domino, which is the idea of, the columns and the slab structure as a way of simplifying and understanding modern architecture. So this relationship, which we call construction history, is the relationship, of course, between materials and the materials themselves. So where the materials come from, what they kind of, stand for. But the agents, and here I'm saying agents because yes, the architect is an agent of construction, but so is the builder, and so is the engineer, and so is the laborer on the site. And no better place than to understand something like this in India. And at least when I used to practice in India, one of the interesting things was that you go to the site and you sometimes learn a lot more from the carpenter on the site about the design than you would sitting in your office trying to develop a final drawing which you can just give to the person to make. So it is also a sort of response that you get from a combination of these agencies. And that's really what Kahn's work was all about, is that he had this dialogue with the bricklayers on the site to then understand what these things were. And then the final part of it is tools. And then we started realizing the role that the official practice, so you can see these ugly looking documents in the middle here, and they play a big role in trying to define how policies and other things are constructed and changed into architecture. So again, it's not a lecture on architectural history, but what I'm trying to say is that if you are students who really want to make architecture your obsession, then choose any of these detailed components of architecture and start digging in. For me, it was the brick, but for you, it could be something else. But as you dig that in, it will reveal to you the complexity of architecture as a profession is, and you will find your own path in it. So in trying to explain where that took me, I'll just take a slight detour at this point and take this obsession that I had with the brick and see, after many years of writing about this stuff, how it took me into a completely different direction. While I was sitting here and talking about South Asia and the Indian Ocean Rim and exchanges of materials and laborers there, I also came across the opportunity to take this knowledge about construction and think about how we could take the brick to another part of the universe. So we started suddenly working with the context of, how about architecture in a non-Earth environment? Sorry, my slide seemed to be stuck. Yeah. So the interesting thing was I was speaking with certain colleagues of mine in engineering, and the Australian Space Agency had sort of moved to Adelaide. And we were having this conversation. We realized that, I'm sure many of you have seen this picture of the footprint, the human footprint on the moon. And as you can sort of see, it's a very, you can see from the way the print is there, it's a very fine powder really, which is caked in when you press it. So it's very fine powder, which you can compress in a certain way. And we had this conversation. I was saying, hey, why can't we make building materials out of that? Why don't we make sort of bricks? And we started working with companies that make simulants of this lunar regolith. And then we use, of course, we can't have kilns. So what we use is we use laser to sinter the regolith and convert them into what we call moon bricks. And of course, they kind of look like brownies, and I would really recommend nobody try eating them because they're quite deadly. But this was an opportunity for us to sort of say, well, all right, we've thought about architecture and construction in a certain way, and how can we take this knowledge to the next level by saying, well, rethinking the architectural profession and its contribution to this new environment that we'll be creating. So a lot of it is boring work that we do with civil engineers, looking at compression tests and different types of regolith and different types of temperature and processes like that. But a lot of it is also sort of fun form finding stuff. So again, we also imagine how we would be using this kind of material for construction in the lunar context. And so this was a publication that our colleagues did in 2021, which was looking at how to use lunar regolith as a sintered form for doing civil construction on the moon. And this was picked up by NASA, the other NASA, not your NASA, out in the US, and we got some funding to do work on, hey, how do we use this for actual construction? So, and that brings me back to the brick, and it's been a fascinating journey because, you know, we started talking about bricks in a embedded context in a building in Ahmedabad, which didn't seem like very much. But then we were able to extract the idea of the brick and then sort of see how can we develop construction techniques for the moon. And it's a fascinating way to understand construction opportunities. And again, this is not the forum for me to talk a lot more detail about this. Of course, we live in a world where you can contact me on social media, and I'd be happy to continue that conversation. But it then leads us to think about the concept of these sort of bricks and working around with automations and systems to see how we can take this architectural language that we've perfected over thousands of years to the next level. And here I'm going to bring one quick other example to show you the kind of work that we do and where all of this kind of comes together, because a lot of my friends ask, so how the hell do you go out from construction history and start talking about buildings on the moon? And one of the examples, and I remember this particularly because it was a conversation I had about the Indian Institute of Management, and I was talking to a colleague at CEPT, and he said, you know, one of the things we always ask the students is say, you know, those big circles you can see in the IIM, how would you do the shuttering for that? And it's a thing that students don't often think about, because on paper they make a circle and they forget that to construct the circle you will have to do a shuttering in two separate parts to allow the brick to be centered and put together as an arch. So it's an interesting thing. Once you understand the process for construction and understand these kind of challenges, you then also realize that, all right, if I'm going to build on the moon, I'm not going to have the shuttering available because there is nobody there who's going to provide me with the shuttering on site. So then we start looking back into construction history and we start looking at techniques of building which don't use shuttering. So this is a form of a Nubian vault that we've been experimenting with and saying, well, how can we use this kind of construction technique to create stuff so that we don't have to rely on false work, of course, because it's simply not available in the lunar context. And so that allows us to do sort of form development and experimentation with different types of vaulting system. Another example to take from history is, well, all right, if you look at masonry construction, one of the biggest things that is integral to thinking about a brick construction is the use of mortar. And I said, well, what's yet another thing that we can't use on the moon, because, you know, water is a precious resource that we can't use for mortar. So then we start looking at how do we solve the problems of creating interlocking block systems. This is called an osteomorphic block. And so we experiment with topology of osteomorphic blocks to create interlocking block systems for construction, which will not require us to use mortar. And then, of course, you know, we work very closely with colleagues in robotics for things like swarm robotics, and we run challenges. So this is part of the Australian Rover Challenge, where we get mechanical engineering students to think about construction. And as of this year, we've also launched now the Australian Space Architecture Challenge with the Australian Space Agency, which I'm hoping to expand next year so I can get a lot of students from NASA, from your NASA, from India to be a part of these kind of challenges. So again, it's a way to think about architecture from the ground up, from the actual clay that it's made out of, from the brick, and then seeing how that can define a way of thinking about architecture, the way to understand the relationship with construction, the relationship with labor, the relationship with different agents, including engineers and architects, and understand all aspects of architecture through that. So I think I'm coming to the end of my time. So I'm just going to kind of stop there, and hopefully I've given you a whole range of things to think about. If you're interested in any of those kind of topics, whether it's got to understand the construction history of things that we have already done and what it means about our position in terms of architecture, modernity, society as a whole, or projecting forward if you are interested in trying to understand how architecture can be taken to the next level, not just, and I've talked a lot about the technical aspects of building on the moon. We also work with people like psychologists and stuff to understand how we can create a better understanding of architecture through these extreme environments. Please feel free to get in touch, and LinkedIn, Facebook, all of these things are easily approachable now. So we live in a very hyper-connected world, and I'm well in my time, so I'm going to stop there and open it up for discussions and questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Srivastava. It was really a great to have your presentation, and it's a mix of work with the research and also, the practical aspect of, your understanding of historically important project like IIM or Shivnath Prasad. This building of Shivnath Prasad of Sri Ram Center, and I'm seeing in images like after many years, and it's not well documented, and it's the masterpiece. And the Akbar Hotel project right now, it's a MEA office. No, but now after MEA, now it has become a South Asian universities campus. So, the architecture of those buildings, it's really not well documented in India. I'm talking about the Shivnath Prasad building, or a project like Akbar Bhavan. And thank you so much that you are doing a great work for bringing Indian architecture on a global map. With your masterpiece work of MoMA exhibition or a similar kind of initiative. Now I would like to invite Professor
Thank you, Dr.
Dr. Atul.
Srivastava. Just a moment, Rajendra. I want to thank Dr. Srivastava. Wonderful presentation. Thank you for the amazing journey that you've taken us of architecture and materiality. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that Dr. Atul, you also have I have seen your work also. There is very much also. Whenever, sir, you are here in India next, sir, we'll definitely love to have you sometime in our campus, sir. And you will see the masterpiece by Dr. Atul Singla. It's really a great piece of architecture.
Surely, sir. It will be great to have you in campus anytime, please.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to the visit. I just wanted to add, Rajendra, and I'm glad you sort of mentioned about these buildings that have been away from the limelight, and they're not documented well. Two things. Of course, I was involved with the translation of the Akbar Hotel into the MEA building. So I've had the privilege of looking and working on the building on the inside. But there's a new book series called Modern South Asia, which is being done by Randhir Singh, the photographer who was involved with the MoMA project. And he's doing a whole series of books which are sort of individually sort of documenting these buildings. And we've just finished and published one on the NCDC building by Kuldeep Singh. And then, so there's these wonderful masterpieces in Delhi in exposed concrete. And of course, hopefully, the Sri Ram Center and Ashoka Hotel will be some of the ones that we will be able to add to that series. But we've just finished the one on NCDC, and that's another amazing building. And again, a lot has to be done on Kuldeep Singh. Unfortunately, he passed away during the COVID period. But I always look out, and I'm hoping through the NASA channel there'll be students who want to do PhD careers, who want to do further research, and they will join us in documenting some of these buildings that definitely need to be looked at.
Absolutely, sir. Arafat, you please share the Dr. Amit's email with the NASA members and all of your channel, and I'm sure that you are going to have thousands of emails, and I hope that some of our students will also be in your university sometime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
But sir, Amit sir, I just wanted to ask, have you recently been to Akbar Hotel area when Yashwant Palace is built now?
No, unfortunately, I haven't been there in the last couple of years at least. Yeah, so I've not seen it recently. I know that the Chanakya was demolished, and there is a new sort of mall kind of thing that's been developed.
Palace.
And
Yashwant.
and I've sort of seen it driving past, but I have not been in there. Yes.
But that was the character of building. The Akbar Hotel became a MEA office. Now it's a university, South Asian university. So and still the building is such a masterpiece. It is surviving. So now we are running short of time, sir. Now I would like to invite Professor Tara Singla to moderate the question answer session, and we are seeing in our faculty group there are like many of the questions. So Professor Tara, you will really you will use some of the selected question. Dr. We have taken only 1 hour by Dr. Amit, and he has a very busy schedule. So before I hand over to Dr. Professor Tara Singla, I would like to speak about her profile. Tara Singla is a versatile professional balancing the role of sensitive designer. She's also very good artist and very senior academician with the commitment of meeting client requirement while upholding environmental consideration and design rooted in a meticulous research and detail. She is a PhD scholar, and she is working very rigorously about. She will talk about her interest of PhD, and she's a very senior educator, and also she also tried to learn a new technology and a new innovation in architecture, and I believe that Dr. Amit, especially the second part of a presentation about your lunar architecture is really opening eyes of many students, and also for us also, and I'm also going to look how to build a house on the moon. So over to Dr. Tara Singla.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Introduction, but I guess the session is more about Dr. Amit Srivastava today. What a wonderful presentation he has given us. I'm especially awestruck with the work, how well he has collaborated, researched into architecture, and then taken it over all the different facets of architecture that we are living with today. So I think it's very insightful for all our students and the faculties as well. Of course, there is a whooping number of questions that I have right now to be asked from Professor Amit Srivastava. So I'll just start off with the same. The first thing is, of course, what skills are required for students to join certain organizations like these, as Dr. Amit Srivastava proposes? So this is the first question, and I think this comes from the faculty as well as the students.
I think I'm glad that, because I can see the written question said tools or skills, and I'm glad you said skills rather than tools, because tools is it's a very hard question to answer in today's day and time, especially as we've sort of seen with machine learning and AI. The world is changing quite rapidly. Things that used to take us, hours and hours of computing can now happen in a matter of seconds, So rightly so, students are often sort of concerned and scared of what the future might hold. But I think what I've been, it's in a way I am happy to sort of say that this is something that is not new in our head, and we've spoken to students about and other colleagues all the time, is what I want to see in architecture students is, and I think architecture students are already kind of, tuned to that, is a kind of entrepreneurial sort of mindset. And what I mean by entrepreneurial mindset is the idea that you have a vision for the world, and a complex vision, not just what one pretty building might look like, but a complex vision for a practice of architecture, and that's really important. And how you can bring that vision for a practice into reality. So what that means is that instead of thinking of yourself as a person who's going to serve a system by learning skills in, I don't know, rendering or Rhino or whatever else that you might be doing, The idea is to sort of say, well, how will you define a new form of architectural practice, and looking through that. And once you do that, you will sort of see that the tools that you're sort of scared of then come to your aid rather than become a hurdle in the middle. So if you are addressing challenging psychological issues, and I do work with people who are in sort of, challenging social situations, and we work with groups with youth homelessness, for instance, or who have this specific kind of psychological issues that we are dealing with, that the skill set that's required to deal with that is radically different than somebody who's trying to solve a sort of technical problem. So I think you have to understand architecture not from the process of the building and what's required to do the building, but from an entire ecosystem of whether it's the economic, political, social implication of all of that. So that's really the skill set. I think entrepreneurship, it would be my go-to word for it. It's a thing that you see in the world a lot more these days, particularly in a kind of world which is looking at digital enterprise. Entrepreneurship is supremely important in thinking about, well, where does what you want to produce fit into the larger ecosystem? I often get students who do PhDs with me, and I often sort of say, well, think of your PhD as not just another academic book that you will write that maybe 5 people will read, but think of it as maybe writing a patent or something like that, something that kind of sort of says that where you fit in a larger complex system of things and what role your contribution is going to play. So I will disregard the tool part of the question, and I will address the skill part of the question, and I will say entrepreneurship and a way of thinking about the interconnected nature of architecture is the best way you can reposition yourself. That way, 5 years, 4 years from now, as the technologies change, you will be able to modify your position accordingly. Sorry, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
that is indeed wonderful. In fact, we always tell our students that, as architects, you are addressing a bigger picture. It's more like you're doctoring the environment to reach a certain stance and create a benchmark of living. So I think your work well resonates with that. My next is a bit complex and I think more political. The faculty here, how do you think India is
sorry,
growing?
Tara, can you repeat it? We lost your, I lost your voice for a second. Can you repeat that?
How do you think India is growing in terms of architecture chronology when you compare it with Australia?
Well, it's a hard one to answer, and I'm going to hide behind the fact that when I talk about these things, I'm a historian. Okay, I try not to comment on things that are happening at this moment because it's very hard as historians to differentiate between trends and things that will become valuable over time. But in a deeply interconnected world, and this is where 21st century is so different from 20th century history, is that we are deeply interconnected in things that happen, reach the other side of the world in a matter of seconds. So somebody comes up with something, they don't even wait to write a book or publish an article on it. They will make a short video, they will put it online, and it'll get shared 1 million times, and suddenly technologies, thoughts, they sort of travel at the speed of light. So I don't really know that there is really a kind of distinction I would sort of make between India and other places in that sense. I think it's individuals who are engaging or not engaging. And I think there are, of course, individuals in India who deeply engage with the changes that are happening around the world and respond to it. And then there are others who are probably waiting for, I don't know, some kind of structural or institutional change to happen. And unfortunately, the world is moving faster than they are. So yes, the things that I think India can do better is creating channels for exchange. So I think, yeah, NASA is a great platform, but I think we need a lot more in terms of journals, magazines, conferences, other events that where exchange of ideas will happen. I think that the actual academic, critical, rigorous exchange, I think the platforms of that, there was a time when we used to have fantastic design journals in India, and then they kind of became more like trade magazines. And then, every once in a while you do have some more of certain things that are emerging. And there are, like, we've been working recently with, I think, Matter or a couple of other, organizations that are doing interesting work. But yeah, a lot more of those platforms would be great. And I think, yeah, something like NASA could fulfill that sort of role by connecting people to the best ideas that are out there and allowing them to engage in a global context.
I truly believe in that. As Mahatma Gandhi rightly said, that be the change that you want to see in the world. So from here on, I'll take one more question, one last question of a student. The question is, what is your opinion to the students who are more into designing structures in space, and how should a student start his approach towards this field?
Okay, I think, well, that would be a good, if that's the final question, that's a good question to end on, because I think it's more than just an opinion here. It's an opportunity to sort of open up what students can do. And I think there's lots of sort of, in the Q&A, there were a few questions that also talked about, similarly about, benefits of lunar architecture, or what are the long-term values of this. And I think I use the term lunar architecture, but a lot of my colleagues, they use a term which is probably more relevant, or might sound more relevant, is what we call extreme environment architecture. So the thing is that, yes, the lunar context is not just about a billionaire fantasy of going and living on the moon, right? It's a testing ground, it's a laboratory, it's a way of thinking about challenges that we have here on Earth, but that become more evident to us when we are there. Now, if you tell people here on Earth and say, oh, why don't we design more sustainably, use less material, or use more efficient techniques, there is no real motivation to do that, because as long as resources are easily available, people are less likely to be forced to innovate. So when you put them in a context which is an extreme environment where you don't have the resources, electricity, or whether it's power, whether it's water, everything just becomes absolutely scarce. You have to reuse, you have to think about recycling, you have to do all of that. Like even the air and the water and the waste, and everything needs to be reconsidered when you put it in that level of extreme environment. It completely changes the question, the context. So the question is still the same. It is still valid. It is still going to teach us the things that we really want to do here on Earth. It's going to teach us how to design and construct more efficiently, how to use materials and structures more efficiently, how to reuse things more efficiently, and how to also create life cycle systems which reuse the waste. So for instance, there's a program of the European Space Agency. The program is, the system is called the MELISA system, which is a life cycle system used for space habitation. And they have a counter program called the CAMEA system, which uses the learnings of that in terms of waste management to then change how we do things around the city. So CAMEA has been applied, for instance, in Amsterdam, looking at the city level management of waste, and the learnings that we get from the space architecture context, applying it for creating better, more efficient waste management systems for cities. This also applies for environments which we don't really think about. So another thing is, most of our university education, we talk about urban environments, we talk about houses, we talk about schools, we talk about, God forbid, opera houses, all sorts of grand buildings. But humans live in many different contexts. So for instance, I am based in Australia. We have people who are invested in the mining sector who live out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Australia, in the middle of the harsh desert, in mining colonies, which are atrocious places to live in. And, you know, of course, we pay them good money and we keep them in shitty temporary houses, and we don't care about how we can create better solutions for that. What about people who live on oil rigs or go on Antarctic missions or so on and so forth? So even on Earth, we have lots of these kind of opportunities where we can test the limits of what we take for granted and use the extreme environment to come up with better solutions, which we can then implement in our standard urban environment. So I think that's really what I would sort of say, is that anybody who wants to go into this area, really it is about the kind of stuff I was saying, with unpacking the architectural object and saying and understanding the things that it's made up of, and then saying, yes, how can we deal with this challenge of not superficially saying, all right, I will create sustainable architecture by doing some tweak here or there for a nicer window that you can open up in the evenings and reduce your carbon footprint, but really sort of saying, how do we take this to the extreme and come up with a solution that will then help us rethink how we deal with these resources which are running scarce on an everyday. On the other hand, of course, reach out to me. We are happy to, I'm happy to sort of answer questions on specifically things that deal with lunar architecture, and you can be part of the team in the future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amit. I mean, before you go, I have a very very brief question. I mean, now we have our next guest also waiting. So I would like to have your opinion, maybe like very, very brief.
Okay.
You know, I would like to touch your historian part. Many times there's always a debate that whether Chandigarh was lucky to have Corbusier or Corbusier was lucky to have Chandigarh. I recently had a discussion with the ambassador of Poland, and we were discussing about the issues of how Corbusier got Chandigarh. It was only because of the Matthew Nowitzki death, you know. So do you really think, you know, the Corbusier is a big name, no doubt about it, all with due respect of his work. Recently, when I was in Carpenter Center, you know, in Carpenter Center in Harvard, it is written that it is the only building of Corbusier in South America. Please respect this building. So he's a larger than life figure, definitely no doubt about it. But talking about his Chandigarh project, do you really think that luck played an important role for Corbusier? Or how do you say that Corbusier was lucky to have Chandigarh, or Chandigarh was lucky to have Corbusier? Just a brief, your opinion about it, sir.
I think I'm going to say Corbusier was lucky to have Chandigarh, because it was an opportunity that he might not have had in his life to be able to demonstrate the things, which does not take away from him as an architect. But it's like for most of us, we have ideas, we have thoughts, and we don't always get an opportunity to test them out. So Chandigarh, I don't think is an absolute final solution for anything, but it was an opportunity for Corbusier to test things that he had imagined. And I think he was super lucky to have that opportunity. And of course, as you said, with Matthew Nowitzki's death, I will add, as a historian, I'll add a little tidbit to this, particularly because I'm from Adelaide in South Australia. The story goes, and this was a work done about 10 years ago, it should be available as a paper. The story goes, there was a professor from University of Adelaide who was sitting on the plane next to Corbusier on a flight, I think, to Brazil at that time, where he shared the plan of Adelaide with Corbusier, which is a grid plan, so you can compare the grid plan, and which is the time when Corbusier was coming up or was starting to work on Chandigarh, and that this played a significant role in the design of Chandigarh, the grid plan. So the idea that the grid plan, for instance, is again a continuity of a rationalized modern idea of things, which goes all the way back to 1830s and the sort of, loan. So I think and it's a good point, because at the beginning of my lecture, I kind of talked about my interest in continuities rather than contradictions. And the continuities sort of come in, the rational approach to the planning of the city, which kind of comes, and Adelaide in 1930s kind of sets up the framework for that, which finds a new iteration in Chandigarh in a way as we sort of see it. And Corbusier is the conduit for it. He's an absolutely wonderful and important figure, but he is human and is part of human history. So I want to see him as an important character in human history, but definitely part of the continuity of the growth of human understanding of architecture and city planning that Chandigarh was yet another step in, and Corbusier was lucky enough to have the opportunity to do that.
So thank you so much, sir. Your point well taken, and I believe that I'm giving a new idea to some future researchers and future PhD student to do, the thesis about Corbusier was lucky to have Chandigarh, or Chandigarh was lucky to have Corbusier. Thank you
I'll
so
just
much.
sort of I'll just mention Vikram Aditya Prakash's book is called Chandigarh's Le Corbusier, not Le Corbusier's Chandigarh, and that's really the point. Yeah. So
yes, sir. That might be a book in my library. Vikram and me and even Professor Tara, we all come from the same college, Chandigarh College of Architecture. And Vikram father has also been a great source of inspiration when we were studying, sir. So we have exceeded 15 minutes of your time, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Amit, and it was wonderful meeting with you, sir. And our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sanjay Modi, sir, he was busy in some schedule, some commitment, so he couldn't make it, but he has sent a congratulations and wishes to you, sir. And on behalf of Dr. Atul, Dr. Sanjay Modi, sir, Professor Tara, I really wish you all the very best for your future endeavors, sir. And I hope that next time when we are meeting, we'll be meeting in India at LPU. So,
thank you. I will definitely make a visit to LPU and meet all of you. And thank you for having me. And my apologies to Yolodi and Maria, whose time I've impeded into a little bit. And I will try to stick around for a little bit and hear your presentation as well. So thanks, everyone. And yes, please stay in touch and feel free to reach out to me on different platforms. Okay.
sure. Thank you. So over to Professor Tara, and I am not very sure that Professor Tara is having a very bad connection, and while she is on the road and it's raining now. So can I hand over to Arafat, if you can introduce Yolodi and Maria? Arafat?
Yes, sir.
I believe Tara ma'am is really, there is a lot of rain happening while she's driving.
Yes, sure, sir, sure. Thank you, sir. I'm Arafat, coordinator for Division of Industry Interface. And it's a privilege to introduce our distinguished guests, Gregorius, Supie, Yolodi, and Maria Rosantina, founders of Yolodi and Maria Architects, based in Jakarta. Their firm has shaped modern Indonesian architecture with projects that balance innovation and respect for local materials and environmentally sustainability. Graduated from Catholic University, they founded their firm in 2000, rising to prominences with major works like Gelorga Bong Korno Sport Complex, renovation for the 2018 Asian Games, a landmark project that blends historical significance with modern functionality. Their portfolio includes award-winning projects such as our DRA House in Bali, the KM19 Rest Area, and the Walang Dano Village Library, earning both national and international recognitions, including the prestigious Monsoon Architecture Award. We are excited to hear from their visionary architects whose work inspire both students and professionals alike. Please join me in welcoming Gregorius, Supie, Yolodi, and Maria Rosantina. Over to you guys.
I believe now Tara ma'am is online, ma'am. Would you like to welcome them, please, if you are in network?
I welcome Maria and Professor Gregorius. It's wonderful to have you at LPU. And of course, one day we will definitely plan to have you offline in a beautiful campus. So without taking much time, I would request you to please start your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tara, Singla, um, Dr. Rajendra Kumar, um, Dr. Atul Kumar, Singla, and Arthur Arafat. And thank you for wonderful presentation, Dr. Amit. It's very interesting, whether connected to history, into the material, into the future. Also, there is will be relationship between those and the practice. I think the connections between the research and the practice will be much further, have to be very related, so we can move further into future. So yes, we hope to connect in the future and have a lot of more discussion on what we had. So I'm Gregorius Supie and my, so we'll talk for the NASA. I think for the older students, I think very interesting to have you guys here, the good community, and very exciting. I saw the presentation that all the students around the India together have very eager to have more knowledge rather than in the other formal school, in other presentation and from practice and uh, from other things, research based and everything.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. Sir, I think, yeah, the mic has been a little bit far,
Okay.
so it's not audible properly. Yeah, you could have
Okay.
your mic next to your, and
Okay. Okay.
yeah, thank you.
So okay. So yes, thank you very much. So it's translation everything, or okay. So yes, thank you very much. So yeah, wonderful presentation, Dr. Amit. So yeah, hopefully we can discuss later on. And I think for those students in NASA in India, now we try to talk in different way. That Dr. Amit talking about how the research space, the other way from architecture student become of one profession of the research, of how we can improve architecture, improve humanity, improve environment, and in the future we're talking about the practice. And I will can start the presentation. Let me share some screen. You guys can see or clear the screen?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay.
There are some slides about architect and architecture. This is our studio. Our studio located in Jakarta. Jakarta, exactly the southern part of the city. We choose these locations, not an office building, but a studio in the middle of residential area. This is because we wanted a creative and informal studio atmosphere. This is our teams. It's wearing black all. Most of them are young architects. We are very happy to be surrounded by young architects they are very creative and they have a great passion in architecture.
Presentation, sorry. I should stop. Mana?
Okay.
Mana?
Okay. Okay, this is the picture of us at 2000. Uh, Both of us graduated from university at 1990s, 98. And we start our studio at the time when our country, Indonesia, was experiencing a severe economic and political crisis. Supie started at 2000, and I recently joined on the at studio 2002 later on. It was not an easy journey, but our greatest capital was our love for architecture. Okay, becoming an architect is for us is like being a conductor for an orchestra. To create a good architecture, architect must be wise leaders in the project, and as a result, architecture becomes a place for many lives. Architect can lead by mastering at least a little from various fields. We believe also becoming an architect is like being a marathon runner, not a sprinter. There is truth in architecture to be a good one. It requires passion, persistence, perseverance, and consistency. When these qualities are in place, we believe success becomes only a matter of time. And we also have something that always been the foundations of our studio. Supie can continues.
Yeah, well, when we interview the team, so we always have from a graduate student or the experienced architect, young architect, we said at least five pillars in our studio, five pillars to be an architect in our studio, at least four, five is the next one. So I'm thinking this is like you imagine it's a tree. So number one, you should have a passion in architecture. It's like the roots of the trees that will make you grow. It cannot be taught. It should be coming from your heart that you're passionate in what are you doing. The second pillar is a sense of architecture. This can be taught. It can be learned. Uh, the sense can be by experience, by practicing, by research, by everything. We can sharpen our sense in architecture. The third one is skill. It's cognitive skill in architecture. So in the end, to produce architecture, you need to sort of communications, and that in analog way, it's a drawing. In the other way, now you have Rhino, you have everything, but you need skill to communicate your architecture. You need skill to communicate, as Dr. Amit said, it for the as an agent. Then you need to communicate between other agents. You need to communicate between other um, partners to create the architecture. The fourth one is managing skill, is how to manage architecture. As Maria said, it's like a marathon. You need to manage your time, manage your personal time, manage your studio, manage your projects with your colleague, with contractors, with others. So I said the three after the passion, you can learn. You can learn in our studio, you can learn the culture because all this creating a culture of our studio. But the passion, it should be coming from you. So the studio is like a bucket of plants, like a bucket of soil. So we can help to put water on it, to make it grow. But again, it's depending on your roots, depending on your passions. The last one, I think everything we can learn, we can know as a science of architecture. So we already have everything, so we learn about the science of architecture. The science of architecture is how you provide yourself information, research, and everything to feel your cognitive skill, your sense, your managing, and also elevate your passion to in different levels. So at the same imagination or image that with Fitzgeraldian guy, so passionate in your heart, sense in your brain is like a chakra, cognitive skill is like your hands, managing, and the whole circle is like one circle of holistic science and architecture. So I think we're always saying this with our team, and I said, you need to be passionate, otherwise you'll be fed up with all the process of architecture. You will fed up with the problems coming during the construction, during the coordination, during everything. You will fed up with the problems coming during the process. But the rest, we need to move together. We need to grow together to create a good architecture. Well, Maria will continue with the project. Me, okay. So, well, just a little bit show our projects, but very quick one. Because why this in I think this is the first project that we did with the government. It's the hardest during our practice. This is a renovation for Gelora Bung Karno complex that been held in 1962, given by Russians before Soviet, for the fourth Asian Games in Jakarta. So there is proposals from the government that elect 8 architects, and I was as a coordinator of architects to renovate this complex for 18 Asian Games in 2018. So there's 8 architects, and I was responsible for the main stadium, and Maria responsible for 2 stadium, one athletic and one new stadium in baseball. This is about the whole complex is we have 5 historical building, and the new building is a baseball stadium that Maria's designed in the area. So Gelora Bung Karno is a name is our first president. Is a complex that had been the Soviet Union is gave the design and also the knowledge to build this complex for the fourth Asian Games in Indonesia. So very important. But during the time, the project was the building was very in poor conditions. Not really become as a public area. Everything is a use for each of sports associations. So it's not become a public area. So we coming the first initial of master plan. We create sort of this is like in the center of Jakarta. So the whole area become new public space. So become new park, and the stadium living in the park. So it's become a public new garden, new park in the city with the stadium complex, sort of like that the idea. So adding some facilities required by the Asian Games Olympic Association committee, and of course after that we do some renovation from the existing building. This is the 3 building that our studio did: the main stadium, the renovation from 1962 projects. On the left one is the athletic stadium, and the right one is a new baseball stadium. So all these 2 for the others is a historical building. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 in the center is main stadium. The right side is a new stadium. The design still respect with the history, but it should be shown the now and for the future. So we had a lot of fight with the heritage board. How we want to elevate, change the design. This has become very hard because the project is very fast. Construction only 1 year. And because the Asian Games should be open in 2018. So, but we changed all the seats. I changed all the seats inside the stadium because previously it's just a bench, wooden bench. but the Olympic Committee asking as single seats, and because they need to put a number, so all the capacity is reduced from 100 thousands into 70 about 77 thousand seats now. And this because this is national stadium, we decide to have national color like a flags in your necks. Red and white is national flags. Surrounded is like an energy surrounded by inside the stadium, and outside we put it back into original color, all whites. So it's like an energy inside, but the exterior is still remain as a existing as a to respect the original design of the stadium. In the center, there is a cauldron, and I'm also designed the cauldron with one of the famous artists in sculptural in Indonesia for the Asian Games cauldron fire. So this is Madia Stadium. Maria, will continue, please.
Madia Stadium, the athletic stadium, the original is only two open tribunes, and at for Asian Games 2018, I developed to connect two tribunes and add a new shelter for the it's a new specifications from athletics federations to protect the tribunes from sun and from the rain. This is a new adding columns for wide span roof. I also make it come back to the originals, all painted white, and this is a new adding roof structure that also shown a very small original.
So I think the original roof shown on the very shorter one on the back. So the new one is a longer one. So this is like a dialogue between the old, between the heritage and the new structure. So everything here, because need to be respect to the past, but the dialogue should be coming to the future.
It's a baseball stadium.
This is a new stadium.
New stadium.
Baseball stadium.
GBK. The big concept is I want to build a tropical stadium. All the facade can breathe, and and also there's a inner court. It's connected between spatial connected between spectators and the players, but they cannot really connect.
Okay, so this is also the other projects that just done this year. This is another relation with the founding father, the first president of Indonesia. That's the first one, the stadium. There's the other one that when he had the payback from colonial of Japan. So he built kind of 4 locations of Indonesia to start the tourism. One in Bali, this is in Sanur, one in Yogyakarta, one in West Java, and the other one in Jakarta. But Jakarta is the money coming from the other part. So with his vision, he wants to start a trigger to start the tourism. This is one of his legacy to start the modernism as well in Bali. So this is the old picture. So
As you know now in Bali, we cannot allow to build more than 4 stories. It's not allowed more than coconut trees. But this is the highest building in Bali. It's 10-story. And he imagined one day Sanur, this area become like a new modern area, like a Miami, full of tourists and everything, with the Balinese culture as well, and become a new destination of the in the world. So as you know now, Bali is a very famous destination for tourism. This is the first hotel built, the first highest hotel in Bali, and the only highest hotel now in Bali, the only 10-story hotel. First at the first time operated by Intercontinental, then take over by Indonesian government and operated by Indonesian government. In 1993, the hotel is being on fire. It's been burned. Everything is burned. All the documents as well is burned. And they do renovation in I think in 93. And this is what we had in 2021. And as we start survey this project. So yeah, well, it's quite sad last time when we saw the project, why the anatomy of the structure is changed, because they put all the Balinese elements and everything into the architecture. It become is change all the conceptual. So we have the opportunity to develop. This is one of the part of the complex of spatial economic zone area for wellness and tourism in Bali, the new one from the strategic project from government. So we have opportunity to have a visioning master plan at the beginning. Then we develop the hotel, 6 hectares land at the hotel, renovation and adding new building. So we're adding new convention center, and of course the tower we doing the renovations and adding new lobbies and rebuild the on the right side is the suite become a suites area, rebuilding the building from the existing plot. That this hotel will be a new hotel that will support convention and leisure as well. So this is in the new convention. So the idea is to keep the existing hotel, the heritage hotel, become back to original into white color, and then all the new building is made from wood. So this is a new conventions, is a 5,000 pax convention center that will be part of the hotel. So this is so you can see the renovate hotel back to original color. So this is kind of dialogue between the old and new. Is we want to be very clear. The old one is remain as original color, and the new one will be created from wood. The new entrance and drop off. So we put all the lobby below the ground, so people like experiencing underneath the pond, and you will see all this lobby will be natural ventilated. And at the end of this is the central lobby. That's the pathway before the corridor, and this is the central lobby when you can see it as a lounge and reception. And you will enter to the left side. You will enter the building, the tower, the existing tower into Bali Beach Hotel. We're adding new stair as well, and this is the relief that that original in 1960 to 1963 in the hotel. So now in the middle of the lobby. This is from the top of the lobby. All the lobby is below this pond. So from this angle, you can see the whole complex. You'll see the dialogue, the relationship between the existing hotel and the new one. So we also putting back and re-engineered the hollow blocks from the original. So the water now come in, the wind still come in. You will see the lights in different angle through times, and the corridor still open air without the rain coming in. This is the engineered hollow block using following the old pattern, but re-engineered to block the water coming to the inside. This is the rebuilt switch area. The typology is the same, but we create with new material, with all woods material. So as you can see, this has become like a new switch area in between the garden, the relationship between that building and the water feature and so on. So I think for friends of students of NASA, I think this is another thoughts that practice can be very challenging, that practice can be very frustrating. But this is the other way also to if you're passionate either for architecture in the practice or in the research and whatsoever, this is maybe one of example that that we can do for what we like. So if you're passionate on that, yeah, of course, all the durability, all the endurance should be there as well. The challenge will be coming in your way, problems will coming in your way, but yeah, at the end, to create the architecture is not easy. It's but this is a process of a passion, I guess. Then everything will be follow your skill, your managing set, your sense will be elevate, and hopefully yes, you can become architect. At least you can love what you do, and we always feel grateful that we do what we love in architecture. I think. Thank you for the presentation. Yep.
Thank you so much, Yolodi and Maria. Tara ma'am, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Yes, ma'am.
It has indeed been a very insightful presentation. What sir said at the end is the most important. Architecture does need a lot of passion, a lot of hard work, and of course, then the fruition of all these efforts shows you how great it is. So, with that in mind, and the beautiful inspirations in mind, I open this session for any questions that you may have. Any questions?
Ma'am, if you allow, I have some question for Maria and Yolodi, if you allow me.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
So yeah. So Yolodi and Maria, I mean, thank you so much for your presentation. It was really fascinating, and I believe that you recently you were in Chandigarh and you were also inspired with our mentor, Mr. Corbo is here. So he's mentoring from the top. But sir, I have a set of questions like in the presentation by a student, it was also, they have also shown some of the project which were the design were produced in like a matter of hours. And recently, I was in one of the session and there was also a discussion about, the 3D printing and the construction in 10 hours or 12 hours. And by the way, Chandigarh has also seen one of the building which of 10-floor building. I repeat, 10-floor building built in 48 hours. And so, this since you mentioned about, patience and, this thing. So this fast food in architecture, sir, how do you see and this, design in 2 hours, construction in 2 days, or maybe 1 day, or maybe 10 hours, and and we are talking of not we are not talking of a this model of buildings. I mean, I remember when we were studying, even model of a building of a scale like what you do, it used to take 2 days, 3 days. Here, 2 days, 3 days, the whole buildings are being built. The people are talking about, the skyscraper in like a 50 days. China has seen, this. What's your comment, and what is your message to young generation who really are going for this fast food culture, this world of architecture, sir?
Well, I think the newest technology will, like, especially maybe in China, that they're racing with speed, they're racing with time. So, well, it's like can you do a beautiful design cheap and fast? They're always like that, right? But I was spoken with some friends. There is a three triangle. If you It's beautiful, um, cheap, and fast. So if you want the beautiful and nice, it will be maybe expensive. But if you want to be fast and cheap, maybe the result maybe is ugly. And the time as well, if you want to be good, maybe the time is not that fast. So sort of like that. But I think that will be so architecture become a process of design or process of industrial. So nowadays, as you said now, architecture become the process of industrial, become a product. So I quite worried about that because then when you doing as a product, as a process of industrial, maybe we lose some touch of it. Maybe we lose some connections with the architecture. The architecture become part of uh, the things that you sell, the things that you can replicate easily or you build easily. So, well, maybe one day it become that industry. I don't know. Maybe in next, I don't know how many years, but I think now we have to enjoy still with time that we can do it with our touch and everything. Maybe one day it will change. Maybe one day it will, with all the new technology, everything will be very so instant. Design will be so instant. Construction will be so instant. So as you said that, I still remember what Dr. Amit presentation. That's the materiality, agent, and tools. So the tools will be very fast. The agent will be maybe in AI whatsoever. So where's our role? So I think the architect may be moving there, but we have to enjoy this during this time. And with that thoughts, maybe the movement not become slower, but it should be with more conceptual, more essential. Because at the end, architecture is not for productions only. It's for people. It's for humanity, right? So it's for people who live in, who activity inside. It's not an artwork that you can only see, but something what we can live in. So I think that process need to be still considered, I guess. So hopefully we're not facing that next year.
Yeah. So I do have a question. Can I ask you?
Yeah, please.
Yes. So, Supie sir, the question is this, that you have already answered my question, a part of it. The question was about the AI and how quick the architecture is, and you're talking about the time, and you need to enjoy the design process and evolve around it. But you see, today we are dealing with the Gen Zs, where time and patience is a big question, and it is challenging for um, you know for us to deal with people with little bit of patience, where it's a time where people scroll. They love to scroll than to come up with the intensive work that you have been doing for the past years. Right now, if we talk, it's a big challenging thing. And with the AI, again, it is giving us another part of it that, it makes quicker. The things are quicker already. The question is this, that what do you think in this generation, will the architecture philosophy work in? What is the importance of philosophies here? Do you really think the star architects with their philosophies, how did they been doing all these years? Do you really think we will still have star architects in the coming generation? Or is it just going to be computerized and industrialized way of production of architecture?
I think the answer is I hope not will be too industrial for the producing the architecture, but I think we're heading there. But I guess like in our studio, the younger generation, the younger team as an architect. So we always trying when we start discuss and everything, we ask the team to close all the browsing, not the browsing during the design, but keep rethinking, sharpening the idea and the conceptual, because it's too easy to replicate the detail of this railing or the detail of this window whatsoever. So that's on the detail, especially on the shape. Nowadays, AI like collecting all the shape in the world in the web area, then you compile it into your command. So we tried several times the AI presentation, but only to show the clients that you see this is good or not. We give some example. This is done by AI, but this is what we did. This is what our philosophy. So this is just like example when we put it some keywords that maybe like the school in the tropical forest, sort of like that. So it coming. So all that keywords coming without context, because they're collecting all the context on the web. So we're trying to pursue and do the presentation starting with the context and everything. So hopefully the differences between produced by the AI and what we did is you can see the differences because we start with the process of learning, process of research and studying the architecture. So well, I hope even though everything is so fast, even though it's everything in your click in your phone whatsoever in your laptop, hopefully we're not losing our standpoint as an architect, our philosophy, our thinking as a base, even to start your keywords, because that will be your base and that will be your passion. Otherwise, our architecture become industry, like you buying the online store. You can buy everything easily, you compile everything, but then we lose the philosophy of architecture. I guess, and hopefully that's not happening soon. Hopefully, and hopefully we can find the balance between those in the future.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Over to Taramam.
So, Arafat sir, I believe that Taramam is struggling with the network. So now I think we are running short of time. We do have some student presentation also. So may I request you to please take
Yes,
over
sir.
and introduce those two student presentation before we go for the final
Yes, sir.
of time. And I will.
Sorry, Ravindra, I just had a quick comment for Yolodi and Maria. Well, thank you for the presentation and amazing work. And I was very intrigued by the fact that you worked on the Bali Beach Hotel project. I was not really aware of the extensive fire damage. But a while ago, we were actually looking at the Bali style, and we did this chapter, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. It was published on the birth of the Bali style, looking at the history of that. And then, of course, Australian architects like Peter Muller were involved, and particularly with Tanjung Sari and all that sort of development that happened in Sanur. So I would be very interested to learn more about that. And also there's been Oberoi, of course, Bali Oberoi is another Peter Muller project, and I know you've done work in Lombok as well, and then the Bali, the Oberoi Lombok is another Peter Muller project. So there's a lot of engagement across Australia, and I think Bali Beach Hotel, Kerry Hill was involved as well, wasn't he?
No, but Kerry Hill involved for
In the landscape component,
in the area,
the front. Yes, yeah.
but
So yeah,
not
it'll
in
be.
Bali Beach. Not yet, yeah.
So I would really be more interested to sort of find out how you kind of dealt with that relationship of that particular history, because yes, it has a very sort of checkered history, right? Like, because once they made the tall building, they didn't want the tall buildings anymore, and everybody fought against it. So it'll be a fascinating one to sort of learn more about. So yeah, I'll be in touch about that. So thank you so much for showing that project. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Amit.
So, Amit sir, without even asking you, I wrote an email of Amit sir on the chat box. So, Yolodi and Maria, you can please note down their email, and it will be good that you can connect. And I request you to please cut and paste in your computer because after this Zoom session, and you will not be able to retrieve that email. And we will also request if you can also write your email for the benefit of all the students. So student will get in touch with Yolodi and Maria. So, Amit sir, sorry, I shared your email without asking.
No problem. It's you Google me, you'll find it anyway.
and you are omnipresent, sir. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over to Arafat. Please go ahead with the student presentation.
Yes, thank you, Amit sir. Thank you, Rajendra sir, and thank you, Yolodi plus Maria Architects. We at Lovely School of Architecture and Design, Lovely Professional University, believe in learning by doing. So are the students nurtured with skills to sharpen their horizons. We have added a few active student chapters to our institution. Over the students, organizations and chapter representatives, I call upon Vaishali to take over to present our organization, which is associated with the DSA, Lovely Professional University. Vaishali, are you there? Yes, Vaishali, we can look at your screen. Over to Vaishali now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Just 2 minutes. So it's our time. Am I audible to everybody?
Yeah, it's all clear. We are actually running out of time. I think you can wind up really quick.
Yes.
That would be nice. Yeah.
It's my pleasure to introduce our organization at LT School of Architecture and Design, which is It is a student organization, and I am a current co-CEO for this organization. And first of all, greetings to all the guests who have joined us today. So the organization it is spelled HOUR, which is a homophone of R, because we in the organization believe that it's everybody's organization and everybody is welcome here to present their ideas and come up with events and exhibitions and join us for seminars and all to uplift art and architecture and design. So the establishment of this organization was done on 10th March 2020. The main motto or vision of our organization is to have a stage for students who want to present skills and talents and innovations related to art, events and activities and workshops. We provide students with platforms to showcase their talent through our organization, and we also promote natural world and eco-friendly environment. From the day of establishment to till date, we have a number of been organized by our organization, and we have helped through those events, which we'll go through this presentation. We have had the pleasure of celebrating International Mother Earth Day, during which we had a clean the campus drive, which was from SW till the hospital, which are 2 different blocks in our own university. We also planted several saplings and trees during this environmental drive, and also spread awareness for how to dispose waste properly and recycle it. Next, we keep having art exhibitions for art enthusiasts and people who are really into photography and digital arts. We have different competitions throughout semesters, and we exhibit all their works during major events which happen in our university. Then we also had pleasure to be a part of last year's NASA Day to organize it, which was a two-part event in which we had a number of workshops in the first half of the day, which was really insightful, and students learned a lot of new techniques like charcoal art and clay modeling and terranium workshop. And the second half, we had a series of events, cultural events, and also an Aki Talk session with our esteemed dean, Dr. Atul Kumar Singla. Then we have a privilege to host several student chapters within our organization, which are Fire and Security Association of India, FSAI, Indian Society of Heating, Refrigerating and Air Conditioning Engineers, ISHRE, and American Society of Heating, Refrigerating and Air Conditioning Engineers, ASHRE. All these three student chapters are still running, and we have really great teams working with us. Then we had also pleasure of hosting intermediate general body meeting, which was done by our and architecture department. It was a base for the next event, mega event, which we all witnessed, which was ANC. We had a privilege to host the prestigious 65th Annual NASA Convention. The landmark event brought together students, educators, architecture profession for a 4-day exploration of excellence and innovation in the field from all over India and all over world. We had professors and tutors from all over the world coming to our university and sharing their intellect and their insights with us, and it was really inspiring, and it still did. It's one of the mega events which we had at LP University. Then we also had the Teachers' Day celebration, where we honored educators' dedication and contribution towards our course. This event featured heartfelt tributes and engaging activities to express our gratitude towards them. We also celebrated Laurie Baker's birthday through a event of interbatch competition, where all the years compete against each other during various events which were related to brick workshops and teachings of Laurie Baker and quizzes related to him. It was again a very eventful day. We had our most recent event, which we had last week, was Vastukara 2.0, which was a 2-day event and had numerous segments for it. On the first day of the event, we had various workshops for different years. For first year, we had a photography and videography workshop in which we taught them how to do storytelling through photography and how to adjust composition, lighting, and framing in the photography, and also taught them with basic videography principles like camera movements and editing. For second year, we had an architectural industry workshop in which we had architect Munit Sharma with us, who taught our second year students the BIM and emphasizing its importance in modern architectural practice. It was a very insightful digital workshop, which each and every student took great interest in it. Next, for third and fourth year, we have a contour workshop for which we had architect Suresh Kumar, who tutored the workshop. In this workshop, he taught us how to design in different contours, and also he helped us with our current design problems, which was a contour-based design problem, and he guided us in our current design that how should we design and how can we go through with our design if we have various contours in it. Next, we had a virtual reality workshop, which was again a very new experience for all our third and fourth year students. It was tutored by experts from Cosmic Reality. The workshop offered participants a hands-on experience in creating realistic visuals by focusing on building block modeling and adding furniture to virtual models. It was a very new experience for all our students. We had never experienced this kind of VR virtual reality, which is again a future of architecture and very nice there. With this, we wrapped our first day of Vastukara, and for the second day of Vastukara, we had a number of events planned with cultural and insightful events. One of which was Architalk session with architect Surinder Baga, architect Dinesh Bhagat, and Mr. Jasjot Singh, in which they shared their very insightful journeys of architecture and their learnings with all our students of the department. Then we had various cultural performances throughout the day, like dance performances, like we had Western dance, Bhangra, we had Lavani, we also had South Kuthu dance, which is a really energetic dance from south of India. Then we had theaters and plays demonstration, in which we started with the fun segment of theater and then ended with a Nukkad Natak focusing on women's safety and rape awareness, delivering a powerful social message. It also had a live painting session with live artists. We had our own student, Dinank, from fourth year. Then again, we ended the event with Melodies in Motion. Our student band formed really great series of singing, like great series of melodies with pianist, lead singer, and vocalist. It was a really great and magical atmosphere which they created with their performance. And that's it with the events. Now we have executive members, like 5 executive members of our organization, which is Rinku Pradhan, the CEO, me, Vishali Prabhakar, co-CEO, Andrea Joshi, the treasurer, Vikrant Yadav, secretary, and Karun Singh, managing director of this. Again, and next we have various clubs under our organization, which goes like nature, photography, literature, and many more clubs like that, which we have club heads like for that, Smriti, Samugan, Sanskriti, Krishna, Tunesh, Shreya. And we have a lot more members who come and join us whenever we have to do any event. And it's really great experience for me. This organization alone has been a great experience, and every time any event we conduct, it's always so insightful and we learn a lot of new things. So that's it for the organization. I would like to thank you all for giving me this time to share my insights for my organization. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vaishali. Thank you, Vaishali, for elaborating the vision and activities of the R organization, which is associated with the Division of Student Welfare, Lovely Professional University, and ASHRAE, the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers, and ISHRAE, Indian Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers, student chapters at Lovely School of Architecture and Design, LPU. And with this, we would like to say that this was an introductory session for our juniors that the currently pursuing the first year and the second year, and eventually this would elaborate for them as a legacy holders, where we'll have in the future of LSAD. Now I call upon Khushi Thakur to illustrate on FSAI, Fire and Security Association of India. And over to Khushi. We are already off the chart now. I think we need to wind it up as quick as possible. Yes, Khushi. So over to you.
Sir, I would like to call upon Abhinav Gogna, our president for the FSAI student chapter at LPU as well, if he is present right now.
So good evening, everyone. I am Abhinav Gogna, president of the FSI student chapter, Lovely Professional University. So I would like to talk about FSI. FSI is a non-profit organization which was established in 2002, representing the fire protection, life safety, security, and building automations. So student chapters of FSI are composed of undergraduate, graduate, and professional students which are interested in the field of building automation, fire safety, and electronic security. The objectives of the fire safe student chapters is to educate students about career opportunities, internships, volunteerships, and research opportunities in the field of fire safety. So I'd like to thank you, and over to Khushi Thakur. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, so thank you, Abhinav, for this very beautiful start. Again, the introduction, the FSAI student chapter, it was established in our lovely professional university in April 2022. And we have currently 75 plus active members working as a team to make this a success. Our vision is Surakshit Bharat, a safe and secure India. And this is the vision of our organization. The objective of our organization is to spread awareness and education, also help with the student careers and research and the capacity building while in the fire, making buildings more fire safe, and of course, for the safety of the people and the occupants. The events organized by our organization, FSAI Student Chapter at LPU, we have started with guest lecture, which was by the firehead in Fagbara in fire safety tools, techniques, and preparedness. He gave us very useful insights. We had a number of workshops and fire drills to spread more awareness about our organization, to spread more awareness about safety, especially at that time of the moment in which you don't know what to do. Suddenly, everything just blanks out. So for making students and faculty and everyone, and especially the people, to spread awareness more about the safety, we have organized drills. And of course, in the future also, we are planning to conduct more such drills. Guest lectures we have delivered. This specific guest lecture was by Dr. Saurabh Jain. He is a senior principal scientist and a co-coordinator for fire safety engineering, CSIR, and he is also a professor. It was a very insightful guest lecture. He has presented and interacted with the students. In April 2023, we also have a lot of webinars, a webinar for the tools for the climatic responsive designs by Deepa Parekh, Associate Director in Environmental Design Solutions Private Limited. She is also a lead sustainability educator. We have webinars by Dr. Ruchi Purna China, a principal architect in Prakriti Architects, India. He is also a Forbes 45 under 45 Economic Times Newsmaker 2021. Our architects by our very loved Professor Architect Tara Singh Lama. We had architects with her where she shared her insights and she introduced herself to the students about this. She spread more awareness to the students about this cause, about our organization. And also, we are always looking forward for more members to join in our organization. The reinstallation of our student chapter at LPU, this was the most recent event, which was at the Vastukara event held by our organization, which was 27 August 2024. Our student members team includes our president, Abhinav Bogna, secretary, Pragya Panda, treasurer, Krishna Mittal, and other team members, including Rajni, Khushi Thakur, that is me, Sheetal Anand, Mudeshwar, and Ryan Tanvir. The upcoming events that we are going to be focusing upon includes the workshops and training sessions, the comprehensive fire safety drills. When we say comprehensive, we mean from the start till the end. Everything is included. seminars and webinars by the industry professionals, collaborations with the local authorities on the fire safety standards and policies, and of course, projects and competitions. We would really love to initiate them more to encourage our students and also spread more awareness. Thank you so much. So it was a really great experience to join this beautiful team and this beautiful organization, which helps towards this one main goal to make India safe and secure. Surakshit Bharat, let's all work towards it. Thank you.
Thank you, Khushi. And over to Rajendra, sir.
Thank you so much, Rafa sir. I believe that we are like 20 minutes behind our schedule, but it was really very engaging session, and I was very much impressed with the presentation and the approach of Dr. Amit Srivastava and also Yolodi. I never had an honor to meet you, sir, but sir and ma'am both. Maybe next time, whenever I travel to Jakarta, I was recently supposed to be in Jakarta when Prime Minister was there 2 months back in November. Year back. So, but definitely, ma'am, whenever I'll have honor to visit Jakarta, and Jakarta is one of the city which I really love to be. I'm a member of ISOCAR, International Society of City and Regional Planners. So we had a World Planning Congress in Jakarta 2 years back, just before the COVID, I believe. So, but I couldn't make it. But next time, whenever I'll be there, definitely I'll be in touch with you.
Sure.
So with this, we come to end of our session, and I would really like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Amit that still he is there. So thank you so much, sir, and it shows your passion for a student and for architecture. So with this, we come to end of the session. I would like to propose a vote of thanks. It's a NASA Day today, and we have been cherishing with numerous great lectures and workshops. With this session, we come to end of our 4-day celebration, which started from on 10th, and now we are at the culmination of NASA Day celebration. Kudos to all the remarkable team and all the students of lovely School of Architecture and Design, and also the student who joined from other school. Thank you all. On behalf of Lovely School of Architecture and Design, Lovely Professional University, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Dr. Amit Srivastava. Again, sir, thank you so much for being still there. Architect Yolodi, Architect Maria. We also thanks to Dr. Sanjay Modi, sir, our Chancellor, our Vice Chancellor, sir. And because of his busy schedule, he couldn't make it. But he sent his congratulations and all the wishes to all the team. Our Executive Dean, Dr. Atul Singla, Professor Tara Singla, my colleague, Professor Arafat, President NASA Council member, and all faculties of LSAD. LSAD means Lovely School of Architecture and Design, and LPU teams for their backend support till it's like a 9:22, but still all the LPU team and all the IT team are still there for the backup. And last but not the least, I would like to express my thanks to all the students. Your presence really made our day, and all the School of Architecture. Thank you so much. Namaste. And Amit sir, we will definitely try to catch up sometime. I'm gonna meet you sometime.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, and thank you for organizing and having us.
Thank you, Yolodi, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you very much, Saru.
Good night.
Good night.